Hi, welcome to another edition of our Beginner's Guide to Web Development. I'm your tutor, Samad Kantan. By the end of this session, you should be able to design a sample sign-up form, read and store user data, and we are going to wrap up with displaying the user information onto the web page. We are going to use Visual Studio Code to type the code. So first we'll initialize a new project. We'll call it form data. Then we'll create our first file, index.html, and we will define or initialize the skeleton of a web page. So we are going to change the title here to form data. Let's preview it on our browser. So as you can see, we have a blank page. So our first task is to create a sign up form. So I'm going to wrap everything into a container class, and I will create the form elements, wrap every input into a class or form group. So this is going to be first name, give it a placeholder of first name, then we want it to be required. So I'm going to duplicate this for last name, email, and then password. This is going to be L name, last name, email, that is type, and the attributes name and ID. So this is going to be email address. Then this will have a type of password for our password field. Change this to PSWD or PWD to denote password. So, and our last control is going to be our button of type submit. So I'm going to call it sign up. Then let's add an H1 here, better still H2 of sign up. So I'll call it sign up form. So we have created the form elements, but they do not appear too nice. So let's introduce some styling. Okay, so we are going to use internal CSS, internal style sheet, to apply some styling to the form controls. We are going to set our box sizing to border box, our HTML and body. We're going to clear margin as well as padding. Then we are going to target our container. We give it a margin of 100 pixels, 50 pixels horizontal, and our form group, are going to give it a margin of 10 pixels vertical. Then our inputs are going to be 100% in width. Give it a width of 100%. Border of solid 1 pixels gray. We have a pattern of 15 pixels vertical, 10 pixels horizontal. Then let's target our button. We're going to give it a background or a width of 100%. No, let's say 200 pixels. Pattern of 15 pixels. Margin, let's see if we want to push it. So let's say we want it to be aligned in the middle. So what we can do is to give it a margin left of 50 pixels or 250 pixels. Yeah, this is fine. Background color of white or none, and then a color of Dodger blue. Border of solid 1 pixels Dodger blue. Solid 1 pixels Dodger blue, and we want to give it a cursor of pointer. Then we will apply some transition property or transition effect. We want it to affect or target all the properties. 0.38 milliseconds, ease in and out. Okay, so I want that whenever I hover on this button, it should swap the values for the properties, background and color. Okay, so whenever I hover, we would want this, the color should have a value of Dodger blue, no, white, and the background property should be assigned Dodger blue. So when I hover, this is what I'm talking about. You see, as you have here. Then let's say we want our button to have a border radius of 33 pixels. This is looking nice. So let's see this as the first task. We have finished designing and as well applying styles to the form elements. Then we are going to read and store the user data. With this, we are going to introduce JavaScript. So we'll use the script tag. Scripts. Then we are going to write a function const. We're going to make it a constant. Let's say sign up. We're going to have only one sign up method or function. So it is advisable we use a const keyword so that we will not be able to overwrite it or introduce another variable or function called sign up. So let's call it here on submit. We want to call the sign up method with an argument of event. So let's say when we sign up, we want it to show an alert. So first name Samad, last name Canton, email address, password. So it's working all right. So let's use an object called form data to hold our form inputs or elements. So document.get element by ID. So first we want the f name dot value, and let's duplicate this for the other element. So this is going to be L name, and then email, and password is pwd. So let's assign this to a local storage medium. We're going to set an item called form data, and let's assign the object form data to our form data key. So json dot stringify, and then let's just prevent the browser from submitting the form. So what we mean by the event.prevent default is that when I enter my data and Canton, then 2020, and I hit sign up, it should not reload. It should not try submitting the form, that is, try navigating to another page or the same page. Basically, we don't want it to reload. So we'll prevent the default browser behavior. So let's console log this out to see local storage dot get item. We want our form data. Okay, so let me open our console here. When I fill Samad, Canton, email, and 2020, what are we going to have here? As you can see, we have the data. You see a key value pair. First name is Samad, last name is Canton, email Canton404, and the password is 2020. So we are now going to display this onto the user's page. So let's just say we want to have it here beneath here. So we'll just say my data. So I'm going to introduce another h2 here and call it my information or my info. Then I will introduce a div with an ID of output. Okay, this is where we are going to display users data. So let's introduce another function called function display data. So we are going to destruct our object. So let's say we have our form data here, local storage dot, so console dot log json dot pass json dot pass our local storage dot get item form data. So whenever I submit, I will call form data here. I'll call display data. Okay, so Samad, the password 2020. As you can see, we have first name Samad, last name Canton, email Canton404. So we want to display this information beautifully beneath the My Info heading. So I am just going to target. I'm going to target the output here. So let's say var output is equal to document dot get element by id, and then its output. So output dot inner html is equal to, we're going to use the backtext. Okay, backtext. So but before that, let's destructure our object, our form data object. So I can say let, then I'll f name, first name, comma, last name, email, pwd is equal to, then I'm going to copy this. So this is called destructuring. We are destructuring the keys in this form data object available on our local storage. So I'm going to use a table. Okay, so table, then inside the table I'm going to have a table head attribute. Okay, t head. Okay, now let's just go straight and use the t body. A td, sorry, first is going to be tr, that's a table row, and we show the data. So our first data is going to be our first name. Okay, so I'm going to type first name. Then secondly, I'm now going to use ESS template literals to be able to retrieve the value of the first name. So here is f name. So let me duplicate this. So this is going to be last name, L name, then email address, email, and password. So pwd. Okay, so 2020, you can see we have our first name Samad, last name Canton, email address Canton404, and the password as well 2020. Okay, 2020. So you can see 2020. But let's say let's apply some styling to our table. Sorry, a border of, okay, fine. Before that, let's say we want to call this function as soon as the page loads, but then we'll have to run a condition to see if our local storage has any key called form data, and that's if it is not empty, then it should go ahead and display the data. So form data, you see, so this displays, that is because we are having we have already set the values for the form data. So to do that, we are going to put it here. We will introduce an if condition, and then the body of the if condition is where we'll place the whole code. So if local storage dot get item form data, then go ahead and do this. Okay. All right. So let's go back to our styling. Border. Okay. Table row, table data. Border solid 1 pixels hash EEE. Okay. Then padding of 10 pixels. 10 pixels. Width, say 100%. Wow, this isn't good. So let's remove it. So you can see we have achieved our three tasks. First was to design a sample sign up form, which we did here in this code using the form element, and we also introduce or apply some styling to the form elements as we have in the internal CSS here, or internal styling. Then we also read and stored the user data. We read the data using JavaScript. So what we did here was to introduce an object called form data, and then assign values to the keys. Okay, a key value pair, that is just an object, and then we stored it into a local storage medium. Okay, we have two mediums, that is local storage and session storage. While the local storage is able to persist data after browser restart, that is when you close the browser and open or reopen the browser, you are still going to have the data persisting in the key or the local storage. Whereas the session storage is only available on the page while you are on the page. The moment you close the browser or the page and you return, you are going to lose the data. So we are using local storage. So if we are to leave this page and come back, our local storage is still going to be able to display or persist the data for a longer period of time. So, and we also displayed the data. Okay, that is the last task, was to display our user information. So we displayed it using a table. Next up, we are going to look at submitting this information to PHP. That is another language. It's a server-side language. So through PHP, we are going to interact with MySQL, that is a database that is going to hold this information, so that at any point in time that we want to retrieve this information, we can we have access to. Okay, so basically what I'm talking of here is a crowd application. We are going to be able to add, we are going to be able to what, edit, and then we are going to be able to delete and perform some other dynamic functions or dynamic operations on the data. So we'll end here, and if you find this video helpful, please like and subscribe. Thank you. See you.